Consider the watch. The first accessory a fair amount of the population puts on at the crack of every dawn. We wear our time, we rush it with us on our wrists. Leather band, gold band, silver band, platinum, hour hand, second hand, LED. Arabic numerals or Roman ones. Duty-free cruise souvenir or sensible Wally World ticker. Granddad's family heirloom or a sidewalk street vendor's steal. The variety of styles here in the West, from sports to jewel-bedecked, are as numerous as our DNA strands, and yet all are composed of the same 60 seconds, 60 minutes, and 12 hours cycling forward and then back through again to make a single day. We record hours and even minutes in day planners, breaking them into allotments, baby shower, hair appointment, dentist appointment, dress rehearsal, office meeting, even surprise parties. We love individually mapping two-dimensionally the way our minutes will physically play out in 3D real time. The underlying philosophy, hurry, then hurry faster. Faster is better and organized is best. What about those mindless daydreaming hours lying on the grasses of childhood lawns? Those fluid afternoons laughing, racing bikes, tossing a ball back and forth, or falling down roller skating across the driveway, and where nothing much seemed to happen, and yet wasn't that the point? The neighborhoods and backyards of my childhood have all grown vacant and silent, moved indoors or into supervised televised stadiums where the fun, if there is any, is measured and umpired down to the second. The English language is stockpiled with phrases involving watching and time. Watch out, watch over, watch yourself, watch your step, one day at a time, in the nick of time, time will tell, behind the times, from time to time, in good time, time after time, and time of one's life. So how do we spend all this time we're perpetually speaking of watching and wearing? Essayist Annie Dillard has famously said, "How we spend our days is of course how we spend our lives." Of course, and yet how many of us here in the U.S., especially on the harried East Coast, stop to consider the accumulated measure of those hustled and hurried minutes that add up to what? We all say, I'm out of time, or I need more time, or I need 48 hours in a day, or I just don't know where the day, month, year went. I vouchsafe that there are many moments in our days which run much like Will Rogers' old punchline. Half of our life is spent trying to find something to do with the time we have rushed through life trying to save. As a poet and teacher with a few years' scrimped savings, I made a long-time dream trip to southern Europe in June 2009. Ever conscious of my limited days in the Mediterranean, I eagerly planned and allotted spaces for each ancient architectural and cultural treasure. Naples and Pompeii, Monday. Rome, Wednesday. Florence, consider it Friday. Nice and the Côte d'Azur, check. Barcelona and back, consider it penciled in. Trains, planes, boats, tickets purchased, itineraries typed, printed and packed in satchels with cameras, journals, and water bottles, ready to go forth at breakneck to conquer, or at the very least, record in a variety of formats. The first thing I did each morning was roll over and take my silver timepiece from the night table and squint into the skim of breaking morning light for how many minutes I could skim off my morning preparations and still catch the group by 6 a.m. breakfast downstairs. Did I really need to blow dry my locks, or couldn't I just plop on a pink chapeau and call it chic? More importantly, couldn't I squeeze the blind shut and squeeze just 5 more minutes of sweet shut-eye into my schedule? It only occurred to me to wonder, midway through my journey, posing for the customary comical balancing the Leaning Tower photos, when I caught a glimpse of the giant etched clocks opposite in one of the town's central squares. Why am I even bothering to wear a wristwatch if every European city I've toured, or more accurately, stumbled a cobblestones through while photographing, has displayed such ornate timekeepers for passerbys? And isn't time itself a leaning tower, ever edging forward at a slope from the foundation? A quick glance to the right and to the left of the many vendor stalls crowded with tourists bleeding their pricey euros for t-shirts, Pinocchio marionettes and mini towers destined to sit atop dusty desks or in relatives' junk drawers, yielded a fact that it was the American and Asian tourist who seemed most time-absorbed, checking 2, 3, 4 times and motioning traveling partners towards the buses waiting at curbs. Nary European of any linguistic persuasion seemed hustled or hurried. The clocks were overhead and life progressed. 5 minutes later, 20, eventually you'll get there. Why hurry or worry? I'm reminded of the anecdote about the Italian housewife who called the repairman to fix her on-the-blink television. A few days later, when he arrived, he observed the set, pressed a few buttons on the remote, tapped the console, then sat down for tea with the missus before leaving. The second and third visits were much the same. After the fourth visit from the repairman, American neighbor finally asked, "Why don't you just fire that repairman? It's obvious he doesn't know what he's doing." To which the Mediterranean missus replied, "Oh no, he'll fix it in good time." Better we share a few stories, have some tea. Nobody expects service on the first visit. This would never fly in the U.S. Nobody cares what the repairman's name is, much less what kind of juicy stories he has to share about the neighbors, as long as he arrives when he says he will, and as long as he repairs the set. Often, to our detriment, we value the function of the person so much more than the person themselves. We live in a country in which the standard dinner party question is, "What do you do?" In the States, few, save retirees or the exceptionally rare independently wealthy, escape this laborious question. That's not a European sensibility. Granted, I am still very much appreciative for the comforts and quantity of options in American life, and still like my Big Macs, minus the le. Yet as an artist and observer, I couldn't help but be smitten by the pace, by the focus of European life on being rather than doing for a living. In Europe, particularly in the Mediterranean towns of Italy, France, and Spain where I traveled, there's the evening stroll. In Italy it's called the passeggiata. Part park socialization, part simultaneously scoping out and being scoped. Pretty much everyone takes part. Because dinner in Europe begins much later than in the States, on average around 9 or 10 p.m., there are precious hours after work but before the evening meal in which the entire village assembles to pass by the park, the central square, the stationery and tobacconist's shop, the gelateria or patisserie, for the short pre-dinner snack. Catty comments? Gossip? Sure, it happens there as everywhere, yet this community shuffle in which grandma, gramps, aunts, uncles, cousins, neighbors, and friends stroll and assemble serves a vital purpose, walking away the stress of the day. We Americans have no such interlude in which to unwind the tense gears of industry. The evening stroll and those public clocks, even in bustling cities such as Barcelona and Rome, provide a communal unity that seems the ultimate in setting your watch aside to truly watch the hue of a cloud as it deepens in the sky from lilac to sepia to cherry cordial, enjoying the shimmer of the people parade in its step-by-step saunter. These moments, a serenade to the timeless tick-tock, not of time as it passes, but of humanity as it slows to observance.